A small footprint paired with attractive pricing and decent performance make the Moonraker Ltd GPA-80 high-frequency vertical 86M antenna my budget choice for high-frequency antennas. As the name implies, this is an 80-meter to 6-meter antenna. As such, the TX frequency range goes from 3.5 to 54 MHz, while the RX range is 2.0 to 90 MHz. The antenna is relatively lightweight and doesn't need too much space, which might make it a suitable option for many amateurs. It's placed vertically, so the space requirement isn't as extensive as some classic dipoles favored by hams. When installed, the antenna prefers to use the coaxial cable as the ground plane. This is also the preferred method for this antenna. Otherwise, it tends to add some noise or show a noticeable drop in performance. Adding a radio plate is effective as well, but the nun will need closer attention. If you're aiming for a similar setup, the radio plate and a nun need to be purchased separately, though the antenna has a matched base. That said, some sellers and antenna packages have a bow and unun in the box, which can come in pretty handy. Moonraker recommends an external ATU for the antenna for best results. Many people have found that the internal ATU on their high-frequency antenna works just as well, but the company continues to recommend the use of an external unit for better performance. Some people see a drop in performance from this antenna after some time. In many cases, this problem can be dealt with and is generally related to the budget construction of the antenna. The GPA-80 uses aluminum for its mount material, and it can feel a bit shoddy. Additionally, some connections may not be handled well, which can cause the antenna to retain rainwater and lose performance. One of the more troubling aspects is the lack of proper and detailed documentation of the antenna. While the more experienced and advanced users know their way around the setup, beginners or those new to antenna setups might struggle with a proper setup of this antenna. Overall, the Moonraker GPA-80 high-frequency antenna is a good choice for those who want a budget option and have limited space for the antenna. It's also relatively easy to handle and quick to set up for experienced users, although the lack of proper documentation also means that beginners can struggle with setting it up properly. To sum up, what I like is the attractive pricing, the easy to set up. It's lightweight and fairly sturdy, and it can handle power up to 400 watts. On the downside, the lack of documentation can make setup difficult for new users and not a great build quality.